All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our second webinar today for QATESOL, looking at innovative tools and strategies for effective online teaching, and presented by Jo Dale. So Jo Dale is an independent language consultant, working, I guess, mainly in that area of technology. And today he's going to share with us some ideas for looking at producing, I guess, interactive resources across the macro skills. So before we move on to Jo, just a few protocols. I guess if everyone can, first of all, if you're online, can you please make sure that you have you've renamed yourself so that we can identify you, so that we can send out a certificate to show that you've participated today for PD purposes. We'll be going through and just checking attendance, but please make sure that if you've got a phone number or you're using somebody else's laptop, that you actually can rename yourself. Right click on the little dots in your box and make sure that we can identify you so that you can get that certificate. We also ask, while Jo is presenting, there will be opportunities to ask questions, but while he's talking, if we can mute ourselves so that we don't have extraneous sounds or distractions coming in. So I think that's probably it. There will be opportunities, and Jo will make us aware of those opportunities to actually ask questions when you can unmute yourself. Okay, before we move on, and I've done this again, I would just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, or the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, traditions and hopes for all Indigenous Australians. We also wish to acknowledge that underneath the concrete and asphalt on which we meet, live and work, the land was, is and always will be traditional Indigenous land. Thank you. Over to you, Jo.
Thank you so much. So welcome everybody. Thank you for coming along. I'm absolutely delighted to be to have been asked by QATESOL for doing a second webinar in this series. It's my absolute pleasure. So as I've said, if it's okay, people don't have their microphones on during the session unless you want to ask a question, which is absolutely fine. Another way of asking a question is if you put a Q in the chat and then you write your question there. That's nice and easy. I've got my two screens open so I can then look at both at the same time. So we should be absolutely fine. We're going to run for about an hour. I'm going to share my screen right now. We are recording the session. Both myself and QATESOL are recording the session. So I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel as I did the last session, which you can find very easily via Jo Dale 100. If I just put this in the chat, if you do a search on YouTube for Jo Dale 100, then you'll find the event, plus many, many other webinars that I've done since March. So let me just share my screen. And there we are. There we are. And here we go. Okay. And then I just present. Fantastic. Okay. So if I give you a little bit of background about myself for those people that weren't here last time. I was a languages teacher myself for 13 years, teaching French at secondary school level for 3 years and then middle school level for 10 years on the Isle of Wight, which is where I am right now. And it's pitch black out. So, well, not pitch black, but it's just about getting a little bit lighter now, but certainly was pitch black when I woke up at 6:15 this morning to prepare for the webinar. For the last 10 years, I've been an independent languages consultant. And normally I go around the world running training on the use of how technology can enhance language learning. I've been to Australia many times, every year from since 2012, apart from last year and obviously this year. But yeah, and I've been to Queensland itself as well many times as well over the years. My Twitter handle is on that page. It's @JoDale. Today I was thrilled to finally pass the 30,000 threshold barrier. So I now have 30,000 followers, which is a bit mad. But anyway, so if you're not following me and you'd like to, feel free to do so. My email address is jodale@talk21.com. And if there's anything I can help you with around the topics we're looking at today or around technology and languages in general, please do get in touch. Okay, we have a lot to get through today. So it's good it's being recorded. This is what we're going to try and achieve. So we're going to, well, the brief for this one is looking at how you can make interactive worksheets which do not require the students to log in at all. So the teacher has to create accounts for 2 of these, but not the last one. But the students don't need to do anything at all. They just need to fill in the answers and then submit the work back to the teacher. So I'll go through all of these step by step. I would imagine that for most of you, you've not heard of LiveWorksheets before. Feel free to let me know. LiveWorksheets.com is a website. And then PDF Escape probably is new to you as well. Google Forms, I'm sure you know Google Forms, but I'm going to show you lots and lots of ways in which they can be used in the languages classroom. So let's carry on. Right, so we're going to start off with Google Forms, if it's okay. So with Google Forms, I was really inspired by a teacher from Australia, actually, north of Sydney, Chris Betcher, who you may have heard of, who's Betcher Boy on Twitter. In fact, let me put his handle in the chat for you. So he's at Betcher Boy, and I've been following him for many years. Actually, was lucky enough to stay in his house over a weekend in, I don't know, about 3 or 4 years ago now, when I came to Australia. And he's a Google certified educator. He produced the Google form recently, which essentially showcased different question types for the use in the classroom, which I was really inspired by. And I thought it'd be a great idea to take the ideas plus my own ideas and then suggest ways in which a Google form could be used to enhance language learning. So that's what I did. And what I'm going to do now is go through some examples for you right now. So I'm going to click on this link here, which will take us to a new page. And there we are. So if you've not seen Google Forms before, Google Forms or Google Quizzes, in a way, which is exactly what this is, you can create a Google form, you can turn it into a quiz. It then becomes a self-marking exercise. So you can use this in languages for things like vocab tests. You can use it for listening comprehension practice, reading comprehension practice. You can use it for speaking as well, all 4 skills essentially. So the instructions on how to turn a form into a quiz are here, okay, at the top of the page. If you go onto YouTube and you do a search for make a Google quiz, there are countless tutorials on how to do it. So what I'm going to focus on here is how you can actually use it in languages. So the first question I would recommend is putting what is your surname. The reason for that is because when you create the Google Sheet at the end of creating the Google form, or when you get all the answers in, you can then turn that into, or you can alphabetize the column with the names in, and therefore that will match your mark book, if that makes sense. So once all the learners have all put in their answers, you can generate a Google Sheet, and it gives the instructions here on how to do that. And then you can then alphabetize the column, whichever the column is that you've got the surname column, and then that will then mirror your mark book. Right, so first question type, as you can see here, what I've done is I've used the same format throughout. So I've used the question type here. As you can see, this one's a multiple choice one. Just to give you a flavor of how this works, if you haven't seen forms before, if I click on the edit this form option, you can see here, you've got these different activity types here. If I click on the plus icon to add a question like that, you can see that you've got short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkboxes, drop down, file upload, and what have you. So what I've done is, in my example, I've given the name of the exercise type and then a description on how to do that activity, if that makes sense. So I just delete that now, this particular question that I've just added, and I will then go back to the preview option, and there we are. Okay, so let's look at the first one. So the first one is a multiple choice activity. Lots of these are in French. I hope that's okay, but you'll see how it works. Okay, so as you can see, the question is, what is the past participle of the verb aller in French? And I've used the multiple choice option. I've now explained what it is that you need to do in order to do this, but essentially it's radio buttons here, multiple choice, and there's only one right answer. So you would then click in the radio button, and then you're good to go. You can see that there's a point here allocated for this. This is how you set up the quiz, which I'm not going to go through today because I've explained it here. But as I said, that's very straightforward for you to find out on YouTube tutorial. So if we then go to the next one, you can say this is multiple choice again, but this time I'm using images. Well, there's various places you can find images like this. The ones I would recommend, you've got Photos for Class, photosforclass.com. You've got Pexels. Just putting this in the chat for you. Let's do that again. So Photos for class.com, comma, pexels. You've got one called Unsplash. You've got Pixabay. And you've also got Google Advanced Image Search. So all of these allow you to find royalty-free images which legally you're allowed to use. So what I would recommend on this one is you make sure that all the pictures are the same orientation. So I think landscape works really nicely. And then again, you just put a mark in the radio button for the one that's correct. So as you can see, the question is which picture represents la natation in French, and it's obviously swimming. For this one, this is also multiple choice. What language is this text written in? So what I've done here is I've used the snipping tool, which again, if you don't know what the snipping tool is, you just go into Windows in the search box and you search for snipping tool, and it will then come up, and then you can then see it. And then that allows you to click on the new option. You then make a frame around the item on the page you want to screenshot. You're able to then save it, and then you can then upload it into this Google form as a reading comprehension text. So in here, what I've done is I'm suggesting how you could take, say, a text from a web page or an online newspaper, and then post it straight into the Google form, and then create some multiple choice questions around it. Okay, for the next one, you've got pictures for answers as well as for the question. So here you can see the question is, how is this person feeling? So you could use, for example, a smiley face and an unhappy face as the radio buttons here as well, as opposed to having text there. This one's simple true or false activity using multiple choice again, very straightforward. This one's a little bit different. This is multiple choice again, but this one I've used audio answers here. So what I mean by that is I've recorded audio, and then I put it up into Google Drive, and I've made it what's called a shareable link. And then as a result of doing that, I'm able to then listen to each piece of audio and select the correct answer. Now, to do that, what I would recommend, there's different ways of doing this, but what I would recommend is to use a website online voice recorder, which is here. Okay, let me put that in the chat for you as well, so you can have a quick look. This works on all devices, which is very nice. And it allows you to record an MP3 file straight in the browser like this. Okay, so this is a free website which allows you to record audio, to edit the beginning and the end of the audio, and then to save it as an MP3 file. Okay, so there we are. I can now move the beginning and the end like this. Okay, and then that allows me to click save. There's my MP3. So if I put QATESOL, like that, save, there we are, there it is. And then what you would then do is, if I go to my Google Drive, like this, okay, go to Drive, should now load in a second, there we are. And what I would normally recommend is that you create a folder. There's probably one here. Let's have a quick look. No, okay, let me do one from scratch. If I click new and then click folder, like this, there we are. And then I'll call it QATESOL audio. Oh, is that going to work? Just thinking about it. There we are. And click create. So that's now going to open up for me. And then I can then drop the audio straight into that folder. There we are. Can you see? There it is. So if I now open this up for you, and then I drop the audio straight in from Chrome, or you can click on the new file upload, and that will now upload for me. There we are. There it is. So there's two ways of doing this. If you want to do this for an individual file, you just right click and you click where it says get link, like this, right? This is really important for everyone to access the audio that you've created. But what I would recommend is you go back one step and you go to the actual folder itself and you right click that folder and you click Get Link, because that means that any audio you put in that folder will have the same regulations, as it were, as doing it individually. So it's a lot quicker to do it this way. So once it's loading up now, like this, there we are. Can you see? And can you see it says restricted? Now, if I click on that, because I'm not using this within a domain, it says restricted or anyone with a link. If I was working in a school whereby everyone had their own Google account in their own domain, it will probably say anyone in your domain. So if it were to say that, that's what I would select. But for now, I'm going to click anyone with a link. And that means that you would be able to play the audio. If I didn't do that, you wouldn't be able to listen to the audio that was in Google Drive. And that's essential. So you then, it's actually copied the link automatically, but you can click copy link as well, like that, then click done. And then in your form, under the different options here, as you can see for the multiple choice, you simply paste in that link. And then as a result of that, when I click on that link like this, so as you can see, it says, what is the correct pronunciation of answer 1? If I click on that, it will allow me to access the audio and press play in a second once it comes up. I see I've got a question. Is it possible to make the screen bigger? So my screen is full size at the moment. I'm not exactly sure what the issue is. So if you could let me know if you can't see it properly. So if I press play now. Answer 1. So hopefully you could hear that. So the idea, this is a pronunciation practice one, but you could also have this audio in the question, which means it would be a type of listening comprehension. So let me go back to here. Hopefully that was clear on how I showed you how to do that. Now I can see we got the question, does Queensland Education allow us to use Google Docs? Okay, the honest answer is I don't know. I know Queensland Education can be very restrictive about different tools, but you could do similar things with Microsoft Forms. But I'm just showing you some ideas. If you can't use it in your own area, I do apologize for that, but I'm just showing you things which are popular around the world. Okay, the next idea is not multiple choice, but multiple choice grid. So in this one, as you can see, you've got, it's a matching activity. So you've got different items going along the top and different items going down the side. Now, what I would recommend through experience is if you have items which have fewer characters, it's best to put those along the headers of the columns. So for example, you have, say, A, B, C, D, etc., or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's best to put those along the top. That's because you can have more characters down the side than you can along the top. If you have too many characters here, then it becomes very, very unwieldy and you can't see everything properly. Okay, you'll see another example of that in a moment. So here, you simply check the correct radio buttons like this. Now, I've set this up so it's designed to be all diagonal. But the nice thing is you can set it to shuffle row order, and I explain how to do that here. That will then shuffle the row order each time, so it won't always just be the same answer, as it were, which is really nice as well. This one is putting the words into the correct order. So the correct order is, in fact, the following. So it'd be je n'aime pas aller à la pêche. Okay, so I do not like going fishing, and then again that will shuffle the row order each time. So this one is actually very generous. You get 7 points if you answer all of that in one go. This one is the case in point about the fewer characters along the top compared to the side. So this is reordering lines in a dialogue, and what you have to do is you'd have to click the correct radio button for the correct order. For this one, you need to make sure there is only one possible order, because if you have more than one possible order, it doesn't work. So there has to be one possible order for the dialogue for that to make sense. Okay, this one is called a drop-down option. So the question is, which of the following verbs don't use être in the passé composé in the perfect tense? So here you've got lots of possible answers, but the only correct answer is the last one. So that's why I'm suggesting you could use a drop-down option for that one instead. For this one, this is when you've got more than one possible answer. So you can see here which of these verbs is regular in French. So the 2 of them are correct, 2 of them are regular, and the other 2 are not regular. So that's the checkbox one is a nice one if you've got more than one right possible answer. This one was the one I was referring to a moment ago. So I've done the same audio option I did before. So I just paste it in the description or in the title in the exercise. I describe how I create this, and then you listen to the audio. If I click on the audio here, and then you press play, like this, it will play the audio, and then you put a tick in the check boxes according to the things that I say I do in the listening, and the things I don't do, you leave blank. Here we go.
Le week-end dernier, je suis allé au cinéma avec mon ami Bob. On a vu le dernier film de James Bond, c'était super. Après, nous sommes allés au restaurant pour manger des super bons pizzas.
Okay, so that was the description of what I did on Friday night. And then you just put, as I said, put a checkbox in the things which are correct that I said that I did, and the ones which I said I didn't do, you leave blank. If that makes sense. So that's quite a nice idea, I think, for listening comprehension. This one is just a classic grammar activity. So you've got the verb, the infinitive in brackets, and you simply conjugate the correct form of the verb in the answer underneath. This one, you embed a YouTube clip, and then you create a number of different short answer questions for this. So again, you write the answer in here, having listened to the video. This one's a tick box grid. So again, you've got more than one right answer. So here you've got verbs, support activities that go with the verb jouer and the verb faire. So for example, this is going to be faire de la, jouer au, faire de la, and jouer au. Okay. So again, this is nice if you've got more than one correct answer. This one is good for speaking practice. So if I were to go to a new tab and put in Vocaroo, like this. So I'm sure a lot of you know Vocaroo. It's great for speaking practice. So I can record some audio right now like this. This is an example of an audio recording made directly in Vocaroo, which is great for speaking practice when you post a link into a Google form like this. Okay, you click save and share. You click copy link. Can you see the little icon here? Copy. You go back to your form, and then you paste in the link like that. There we are. So as a result of that, all the students could record their audio either in the classroom or remotely, send it into you via the Google form, and then you can then listen to all the audio and then mark it in the way that you would normally mark speaking. With the audio on Vocaroo, it's deleted after anywhere up to 3 months. It can be as little as a month. So it's not there to be there permanently, but you can download each audio file if you prefer. And then the last one is a linear scale one. This is not when it's marked automatically. You just put in a statement such as online learning is a good idea. And then you simply check the radio button, which shows how you feel about that particular question. So that's a nice one to finish with when you're promoting student voice, which we're big fans of in the UK. Okay, hopefully that's all right. Does anyone have any questions about anything that I've gone through? I appreciate I've gone through that quite quickly, but you're going to have the Google form, a copy of the Google form in my presentation, the second link. You can access it. In fact, let me just show you right now. What I've done is, let's go back. The second link here, if you click on that, it will make what's called a forced copy. And I'll just show you what that actually means. In the, let's have a look. If I go to here, click on the edit option, like this, right? So you can see here, if I go to the, hang on, yeah, can you see this? If the link finishes with the word edit, if I get rid of the word edit and I replace it with the word copy, can you all see what I've done? I've deleted the word edit and replaced it with copy. If I now press enter, what will happen is, can you see what's happened now is it's made what's called a forced copy. So that means if I share this link with you in the chat and you click on the word copy, it will automatically make a copy of that form. And then you can then go through that in your own time and see how it works. Any questions at all from anybody so far? Or should we move on? Okay, I think we'll move on then, if that's all right. But hopefully that's giving you lots of ideas on how you can use Google Forms in languages. Here's some more ideas. This is a Spanish teacher who created an example of a Google Form based on my example that I shared all over social media. So you can see here a Spanish teacher who has used a sentence builder. So when you take different items from each column to make up your sentence, she's used the multiple choice with images option. She's used a narrow reading option here as well, whereby you've got 4 texts in Spanish, all of which are slightly different, and then you have to work out the differences between the two. Okay, so I can see, Rebecca, you can't use Google in Queensland Education. Okay, so that's interesting. That's very disappointing to hear, considering that Google obviously is a global organization and that Queensland Education don't allow you to use Google, but you could use lots of similar ideas using Microsoft Forms. Not every single idea, but lots of similar ideas using Microsoft Forms if you're allowed to use Microsoft Forms, which I would imagine that you are. Okay. Right. Feel free to see whether you're allowed to use LiveWorksheets.com as well. I'm going to show you this working live now, and I've put some different YouTube clips there to describe sort of tutorials on how to do this. As part of the technology language teaching webinars that we've been doing recently, we've done over 50 since March by language teachers, for language teachers. This is a lady called Claire Wilson, who is known as Leo Languages on Twitter. As you can see, Leo Language. Yeah, so she's Leo Languages on Twitter. Her real name is Claire Wilson. She's a language teacher. She also has written content for the BBC as well. And she seems a lovely lady. I've never met her face to face. And she did a Tilt webinar for us on lots of different ideas, which included one on live worksheets. So what I'm going to try and do now is to show you this live. So let me click exit. Let me go. Hang on. I've got too many things on my screen. Right, there we are. Right, so if I now go here and I go to live worksheets, there we are. Okay, so you do need to create an account for this. Oh, Rowena, you were able to access this. Phew, that's good. That's a relief. Thank goodness. Right. Okay, so you do need to create an account for this as a teacher, but not as a student. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a Google Doc, which I've got here. Let me show you on the screen. Hang on. Let me just put it here so you can see it. Right. So this is a Google Doc which I created last night. So as you can see, it says fill in the blanks and gap fill, conjugate the following verbs using either être or avoir in the correct form. So really simple activity. And then I've got another one here, which is a matching activity. And then I give them some instructions here underneath on how to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this as a PDF. So I click File, Download, and you could do this in Microsoft Word. It doesn't have to be a Google Doc. You just need to make a PDF. So I'm going to click Download PDF Document. Okay, and then just wait. Okay, and I'm going to call it, I'll just call it Live Worksheets 3. There we are. So let's click Save. There it is. Right, and I go back to Live Worksheets, which is here. And before I do that, actually, let me just search here. If you can see here, it says Search Interactive Worksheets. If I were to put in a word like French and hit return, you can see all these different examples that have now come up. So this one, for example, if I click here, this will give you a flavor of how this is going to work. This is the link to the worksheet there. And this is simply drag and drop. So here you've got Ça va bien. So I can now move that to, hang on, let me move that out of the way. I've got too many things. Right, here we are. Can you see? So I've just dragged and dropped it in the right place. So you can use Live Worksheets to make these sorts of things. You make your PDF and then you add the interactivity to it. Let's go back. Show you another example. This one here. Okay, and then you've got the items here. So obviously you just drag and drop them here as well. You can see, you get the idea. There's different exercise types that you can do with this sort of thing. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you some of the ways in which you could use it. So what you do is once you've created your account, is you click Make Interactive Worksheets. There are tutorials on how to do this, but I'm just going to show you now live. And then you click Get Started. Okay, I can see Yasmin has said, I've been using this website in my teaching. I haven't made my own worksheets yet. Okay, so I'll show you how to do this right now. That's great. Okay, so this is an example of one that I've done earlier, but I want to do one from scratch. So let me go to, hang on, let me go, my worksheets. No, hang on, get started. Hang on. Just trying to see how I can make another one from scratch. Just click here. Okay, well, let me just go through now. Basically what happens is you have your you have a little cross that appears, and you click here. Well, it goes there by default, and then you just drag over. Can you see? And that makes a little text box. Then in that text box, you can write a letter. Can you see? You then can click preview like this, and there we are. And then if you right click that box, you can see it's saying what the font is going to be and what the text size is going to be. So that'll look fine now. If I go back to here now, and then I drag and drop over all the other bits. There we are. Now for this one, I'm going to put in a different item. So hang on, sorry. This is, just give me a second. This is slightly different from what I was. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, let's just carry on. Right. So here again, let's write in the answer, and then here. Okay, so I've just written in all the correct answers, and now if I click preview, then whoever gets access to this, I'll show you how I can send the link to people in a moment. But basically, you can just write in all the correct answers. Like that. Okay. If I go back here, now the matching one, what you do here is you drag over an item like that, and then you write the word join. Then you put a colon, and then you put a number 1, for example, and then you match it up with the correct one. So here, obviously, a cat is un chat. So then you then drag over this one, and then you write join 1 as well. Can you see? So by doing that, you're then able to match up the two items. So for this one, we'll put in join 2 like this. Join colon 2. Next one. Oh, sorry, that's do undo, which is here. Join colon 3. Join colon 3. Join colon 4. So in other words, you can make your PDFs into interactive PDFs, which I think is very cool. Join 4, and then the last one, just have a feminine pet. Join 5, and join 5. Perfect. Right. So now if I click preview like this, if I hover over, can you see that my cursor has become a little pen? So what I can do now is I can literally draw like this. Can you see? So, you know, for sort of simple matching activities, I think this could be very nice. And there we are. So I'm also going to show you now how you can add a video. So here, for example, if I go down to the bottom and I get a link of a video. So I'm going to copy Claire Wilson's video that I just had on the previous slide. And what you do is you make a little box like this, and you write the word URL, URL : then you paste in the link. Can you see what I've done? Yeah, so URL : and then you paste in the YouTube link, and then you click the preview option. And now, can you see the video is now there? So in other words, you can take a PDF and you can embed a video into the PDF, which is very nice. Okay. If I wanted to do the same thing with an MP3 file, I can do that as well. Let's go back to online voice recorder, start from scratch. Here we go. This is an example of an audio file which I can use for listening comprehension in LiveWorksheets to make live listening comprehension worksheets. There we are. I can now delete the beginning and the end like this. Click save. Okay, let's call it QATESOL audio. Save. Okay, I then go back to the worksheets, which is this one, and I go down to here. And this time, what you do is you make your box however big you want to make it, and then you write play mp3 : yeah, so you put play mp3 : you then click choose file. You can see that the format has to be mp3 and the size of it has to be 5 megabytes, up to 5 megabytes, which should be fine for asking a question. So you click choose file. It will then search for the audio. So I just need to find that now quickly on my desktop, which is going to be QATESOL audio, this one. Click open and then click upload. Okay, and as a result of that, there's the audio. And if I click preview, can you see it's embedded within the file, which is pretty cool. So then you click. This is an example of an audio file which I can use for listening comprehension in LiveWorksheets to make live listening comprehension worksheets. There we are. Okay, so what I've tried to do now is I've shown you the gap fill option. So click pen and draw text box, put in correct answer, click preview, click finish, check my answers, send screenshot to the teacher. Multiple choice, which we haven't done yet. You put click pen and draw text box, right, choose. Let me just do this one now for you. Actually, let me just show you. So if I want to make a multiple choice, what I could do is if I get rid of this one here, and I put in choose, : then you put the star, you put correct answer. So this one is obviously sans. That's the correct answer. Then you put a /, then you put an incorrect answer like this, ONT. So can you see? So you put choose, : star, the correct answer, / the incorrect answer. And if you want to have more than one incorrect answer, you just put another / and then you, you just go from there. So with that, if I now click the preview option, can you see now? It's got a drop-down menu. You've now got the 2 possible answers there. So that's how you do that one. So having done that, right at the bottom, I think that was everything I wanted to say. Yeah, you click finish. Okay. This then comes up. Now, as Claire explains in this in her video, when she's tried to do the email my answers to my teacher, it doesn't work. So I've not tried that when I was preparing this. I've just clicked on the check my answers one. So you've done the worksheet, it's been marked, and you click check my answers. Okay, and then as a result of that, if we go up to the top, can you see, that's interesting. It says no. That's because I didn't answer these. If I had have answered these, I'd have got the marks. I didn't actually put the answers in. But if I had have done them properly, it would have given me 10 out of 10. So in other words, it marks it for you automatically. Okay, and that's how that works. So then to share the links with the students, what you do In fact, let me do this properly. So that's all fine. Right, so let me click preview just to show you how I can get 10 out of 10. So okay, and then you do this as I did before. That's it. Obviously, I haven't done an activity around these two, but I could have done if I'd wanted to. And then I click finish. So that's the preview. Check my answers. Hey, 10 out of 10. Okay. So if I want to now share this link, so I've made sure it works. I click on this one here. Can you see the save option, the third one from the left? Right. So now it says, yes, I want to share my worksheets with other teachers. No, I want to keep it private. I would click on the keep it private option. You can see here it says you can save up to 30 private worksheets in your account. Currently, you have no private worksheets. So 30, I think, is quite a lot. And then presumably you could just create another account if you wanted to make more. If you do make them public, as it says very, very clearly here, you must not use photocopyable materials. Okay, so that's why I've made mine from scratch. I haven't used any copyrighted materials, anything like that. I've just made it from a Google Doc. So it's really important that you do not breach copyright. So if I click no, I want to keep it private. I then give it a title. So we'll call it QATESOL test. And then we click save. Okay, and there it is. There's my link. So if I now share that link with you, like that. Okay, so I can see, Judith, you asked the question, why does it say students access? I've never clicked on that one before, but we can have a look at that in a minute. But the idea is that you would share that link with the students using whatever learning management system you're using. They would then answer the questions. And then what Claire is recommending in the tutorial that I've just shared with you is that the students take a screenshot of their answers, the 10 out of the 10 or what have you, and then share the screenshot with them as evidence. And that's how that works. So let's have a look on student access, because I've not clicked on this before. Right, so it's saying that you could log in as a student, but you don't need to. I think if you make the links private, the students do not need to log in, which is what this webinar is all about. So the students do not need to have a login. They just need to have access to the link. So once, as the teacher, you created your link, you share it with them privately in your LMS, and you're good to go. So it's just a way of making, like a standard worksheet, more interactive, including audio, video, and multiple choice and gap fills and what have you. Okay, hopefully that's nice and clear. As you can see, I'm not as au fait with this compared to, say, something like Google Forms. I would have a play, and also with the website, if you go to the Make Interactive Worksheets bit and click on Tutorial, it will go through, as you can see here, all the different things that you can do. So there's lots of other things you can do. And if you look at the examples of the things people have shared, it'll give you even more ideas as well on how you can use this. But for a free website, I think this is fantastic. Right, let's go back and we'll look at the one last thing, which is PDF Escape. Okay, let me move that out of the way. So if I go on to the next one. Okay, this is PDF Escape. Again, I'm just going to show you this one live. So what I'm going to do is, if I move this out of the way, there we are. So if I now click Exit, and I go here, click on the link. Okay, and here it is. Right, so you've got two versions of this. You've got the Windows desktop version, which I've not had a look at yet. I'm just looking at the free online version. So one of the things you may not realize that it's easy to make a PDF editable in the sense that, again, you can add in text boxes and what have you, or add in images. They're not interactive, but you can add them in live. So let me show you what I mean. If I click the free online option here, We hope that you enjoyed it. Okay, so I think it's asking me to log in again. No, let's have a look. Let me just. Okay, if I just click here, I'm registered for free. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to click on this one here. There we are. Okay, so and then I click create new PDF document. So I'm not logged in. I'm not logged in. I'm just going to go for it. Right. So now, no, sorry, I don't want to do that. I want to upload PDF. Sorry, upload PDF. There we are. Right. I'm now going to take the same worksheet I had before, and I'm going to drag it into. There we are. I've dragged it into the box, so it now has uploaded onto the website. So here are the things that you can do. You've got the PDF as before. And if I, for example, wanted to click text, so in other words, what I'm suggesting is you would give the students this PDF, and then they could then upload it onto the site and then add in different text boxes or images or whatever it is you want to do. So for example, here, if I click on the text option, like that, I can now click here, and it allows me to write text. So I could write, for example, the letter A. If I want to make that bigger, I just highlight it, and I can change the text size to whatever I want to change it to, for example, 28, like that. I can also click here on the cog, on the monkey wrench, and I can choose other ideas like character spacing, what have you. You can also make sure you center it. Let's have a look here how you do this. What you need to do is you need to have the, there we are, can you see? You need to be able to move it there, like that. Okay, so it's just simple adding in text. So then we can then carry on. What's nice as well is it remembers the other, the formatting you've already done. So here I can just put in this sort of thing. Click away, move where it needs to go. So this one's not going to mark it for you, but it just allows you to add text very easily. So you just have to make sure it's in space, and then like that. That's obviously wrong. Let's do that again. Perfect. Lovely. And then that's it. You can then save that. You click the download option, save and download. That will then download all your answers. Let's have a look at some other things you can do. You could, for example, add a link. So if I click link here, and then I can then go over the word conjugate like that, and I can then write in the link. So if I wanted to have a link from a PDF, you can do this as well. So for example, I could put in www.bbc.co.uk. Make sure I spell it correctly. bbc.co.uk. Then click, make sure it's there we are, click OK. And now when I download this, like this, let's call it A, click save. There it is. And now when I load this up on my screen, like that, there it is. And now can you see when I'm hovering over the word conjugate, a little hand has come up because now it's a hyperlink. So if I click on that, it will take me to the BBC website, which again, I think is very cool. Let's look at some other things you can do. If you click on annotate, you can add a sticky note like this. There we are. And then I can then, put in my comment, which is quite nice. A bit like adding comments into a Google Doc or into a Word document. And then you can make that bigger. You can resize that. So that's quite nice as well. So a child could send you a PDF. You could then put a sticky note over the top of it as a way of giving feedback. There's other things you can do. You can do highlighting. So let's highlight a word here like that. Okay, you can choose the color, whatever you want it to be. That's quite nice. You've got, if you want to create a rectangle, that sort of thing. So there's lots of different things you can use. But I think the best thing here is the insert option, the text option. You could add an image in as well. You can add a link in. You can annotate. The page option, I've not really done that. Oh, yeah, you could crop something if you wanted to. Let's have a look at the image option. If I click on image, I can now drag and drop a picture here. So if I click choose file, let me find an image. So if I find this sort of thing, a Bitmoji. Oh, okay, it doesn't like animated GIFs. That's a shame. Let's do that again then. Upload. Oh, sorry. Choose file. Let's find an image. So let's choose this one. And let's have a look. I've not actually done the image one before. Let's click on it. So let's, yeah, there we are. Okay. And that means now I could actually add that image multiple times on the page. Does that make sense? So that could be, for example, for feedback, you could have some feedback stickers that you then add into the worksheet as an image, which is another idea as well. Yeah, so those are the basics. And then, as I said, you just click save and download like that. Okay, so hopefully that's giving you some ideas on how you could use this as a way of creating either marking of a PDF or for creating self-marking, a self-marking form. As I said, you can take a lot of the ideas and put them into Microsoft Forms if you're not allowed to use Google. For Google Forms as well, the children don't need to register. You would need to have a Google account in order to create the Google form, but the children would need to register. And then for the LiveWorksheets one, again, the students don't need to register. You just need to create it, share the private link with them, and what have you. So as we've got, a few minutes now for questions, I'm more than happy to stop sharing my screen. And if there's anything you want to ask me about anything that we've had a look at so far, anything you want me to go over, I'm more than happy to do so. Or I could maybe go back and show you how to make a Google form from scratch if you want, which I haven't done yet. Let's have a look. Okay, so PDF Escape is blocked by Education Queensland. Lovely. Okay, so I do know that Education Queensland are particularly stringent about websites, so I do apologise about that. Yeah, I don't know what to say really. I mean, so you could use LiveWorksheets nonetheless, but there we are. Yeah, any other questions about anything that I've shown you? Okay, well, I think as we've got a few minutes, what I'll do is I will share my screen again and just show you how simple it is to make a Google form from scratch. I appreciate what you're saying about the accessibility, but I think that would be a good use of time. So let me go to a new page and start from scratch. So let's go to Google Forms like this. Here we are. And let's do a really simple activity. Right, so I click on the blank plus icon here. Actually, before I do that, I'll just share the presentation with you just to make sure you've definitely got it. Let's click present. Next one. Just as I said last time, if you do want any help with any ideas around remote teaching or hybrid teaching, or even face-to-face teaching using technology, then let me know. Here are 18 example sessions. You can access that via the presentation to give you a flavor of the sorts of things I can do. And here's the presentation itself. There we are. Okay, and let's come out of here, and then I should just show you it live in the last 5 minutes. I should be able to make a Google form in 5 minutes, so let's go for it. Right, so you put your title in here. So let's put in is any more, as in pets. First question, always make that a short answer one. What is your surname? Then I make that a required question here. So you have to fill in the form. You have to fill in that required question to make it. I then duplicate that one and say, what is your first name? That's all fine. Duplicate that. And then we have the first proper question. So then you could, for example, say, what is the French for a cat, for example? Now, This one, we don't want to have multiple choice. We want to have short answer. Okay. And then you then just write in the answer here. Now, if you want to make this into a quiz, what you do is you click on the cog top right, you go to where it says quizzes, and you make it a quiz. Can you see? So you just click on that slider there and click save. Right, so now having done that, you click the answer key here and you put in the correct answer. So in this case, it's obviously answer, and you allocate 1 point to it like that. And then you click mark all other answers as incorrect. So that's what I would do there. And if you want to add answer feedback, you click on that and then you can put in a response that comes up when the children have answered. Okay. I could then duplicate that like that. And this time I could say, what is the French for a dog? Go into the answer key, change that to something else. There we are. So there we are. Just a really, really quick idea. I could obviously carry on, but we're running out of time. So now I'm going to click on the send option here. Oh, making sure I spell it correctly. Okay, I click the send option. I then click on the link here where it has the URL. You can then click shorten URL, click copy. And then if I post this in the chat, if you'd like to, you can all have a go at creating this live. If I just show you what I mean, how it works, if I click here, there we are. So this is my form. So then in here, I would put in my surname, my first name. I then put the answer in. Normally I wouldn't make these questions required, the last two, but there we are. Just the first one is very important. Right, there we are. Can you see? So I've answered those questions. I click submit. There it is. I can view score. Okay, I can see what I've got, which is fantastic. If I go back to here and I go to the top, I can see that I've got one response, which is here. There we are. And if other people had replied to it, that would have been brilliant. If I click create spreadsheet here on the little icon and click create, it will now generate a new Google Sheet. There we are, can you see? And it's all here. Now, if I had lots of people's names, I could click on the little arrow there and I could click sort sheet A to Z. And by doing that, it will then match your mark book. So that's a really nice tip there. So in other words, you create the form, it marks it automatically for you, and there's no registration required apart from the teacher. So thank you so much, everybody. I hope you found that useful. Thank you so much for the comments in the chat. The presentation will be available to you. I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel after this, and just have a go, have a play. And it is a real shame that a couple of them are not available in Queensland, but nonetheless, I think they're very valid tools and they're being used by teachers from literally all over the world. Okay, let me stop sharing my screen, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Joe. I think that was a great presentation. I think lots and lots of ideas. And I guess in terms of what's available, I guess it's only state schools that have limitations on certain programs. You can possibly, and I know I've done this, that I will often prepare things at home that I can then use. And that's one option, but I mean, at least it gives you some ideas of the potential of what you can do. And you could also investigate, I guess, using Microsoft, because that is allowed in state schools. Okay. But not all of us come from state schools. So I guess, there will be people who will be able to use these programs in their place of employment. Okay, any questions from anyone before we wrap up? If we want to throw it open to questions.
Anyone at all, this is your opportunity to ask me a question.
Okay, it looks like it isn't. So I guess, well, that's it. As I mentioned in the chat, we will also be the link to the resources. So both the chat, which will be saved so that you can find those links that were in the chat, and the actual recording itself will be sent to you with your certificate in the next few days. Okay. I just hope that we've managed to get everyone's name so that we can send a certificate. I just noticed here there's somebody called iPhone. If that person could identify themselves, because we won't be able to send you a certificate if we don't have your name. Okay. And the resources are only available to people who have paid to attend. So we want to make sure that if you have paid, that you do have access to them. iPhone, if you could please identify yourself, that would be fabulous. Okay, so I guess if there are no questions, we'll say good evening. And once again, a big thank you to Joe, and thank you for being in Australia virtually tonight.
Thank
okay?
you. My pleasure.
All right, thanks a lot. Okay, goodbye, everyone.
Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.